Have you ever held a penny in your hand and wondered if it might secretly be worth more than your car, your house, or even your entire retirement fund? What if I told you that one of the most ordinary-looking coins in America, the humble 1961 Lincoln cent, with a small D mint mark, has been reported in auctions to sell for astonishing amounts, with some stories pushing values as high as $977,000? Yes, you heard that right. A coin most people ignore at the bottom of a jar could, under the right circumstances, make someone an instant millionaire. Now, before you run to dump your change on the table, let's slow down. Because the story of the 1961 D penny is not just about copper and mint marks. It's about history, mistakes, human error, rarity, and the feverish chase collectors engage in when a seemingly common coin becomes a hidden treasure. And by the time we're done, you'll see why this coin has ignited both dreams and obsessions. Picture this. America, 1961. John F. Kennedy is in the White House. Optimism fills the air. And in Denver, Colorado, presses are striking Lincoln cents by the hundreds of millions. Over 1.7 billion pennies roll out that year from the Denver Mint alone. To the untrained eye, they all look the same. The profile of Lincoln. The wheat stalks replaced by the Lincoln Memorial just a few years earlier. Copper everywhere. Worth 1 cent, nothing special. Or so it seemed, but here's the twist. When billions of coins are minted, even the tiniest imperfections can transform ordinary pocket change into something extraordinary. The wrong die used, a doubled image, a faint mint mark misplaced, a strike that produces something no one intended but everyone suddenly wants. Collectors call them errors. But in the marketplace, errors become miracles. The 1961 D Lincoln cent has exactly that kind of story. In high grades, meaning coins that were never circulated, coins that never saw the inside of a cash register or the bottom of a sock drawer, these cents can soar in value. Some pristine examples graded at the highest levels have sold for eye-watering sums, in some cases reaching well into 6 figures. Reports even point to one hammer price approaching $977,500, setting collectors' hearts racing. Imagine the fear of letting one of these coins slip through your hands without knowing its value. Imagine the excitement of realizing you might have one. Now let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, how could such a small piece of metal be worth nearly $1 million? Isn't it still just a penny? And that's the psychological trap. Because while the face value never changes, the collectible value is driven by scarcity, demand, and condition. In the world of coins, rarity is king and condition is queen. Together, they can turn copper into gold. So what makes a 1961 D cent so special? First, it's the sheer difficulty of finding one in perfect condition. Most were spent, handled, scratched, dinged. But if a coin escaped circulation and was preserved in flawless mint state quality, we're talking about a grade of MS-67 or higher, suddenly you have something few others on Earth possess. Fewer still survive today in that condition. Scarcity skyrockets. Prices explode. Second, there are varieties and errors. Double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes. Imagine spotting a tiny doubling on the date or mint mark with a magnifying glass. To most people, it's invisible. To collectors, it's a jackpot. The irony is that millions of people have handled these coins for decades, never realizing the microscopic quirks that could turn their penny into a treasure chest. And here's a chilling thought. How many of these coins were tossed back into circulation? Spent on bubblegum, lost in a parking lot, or dropped between couch cushions? Each one a potential fortune gone forever. That's the kind of fear that keeps collectors awake at night, and the kind of urgency that makes ordinary people suddenly dig through jars of change with trembling hands. Now let's build the suspense even higher. Suppose you find a 1961 D penny in your possession. What should you do? First, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning coins is like repainting the Mona Lisa. It destroys value. Next, check the condition. Is it shiny, free of scratches with crisp detail? Then check for varieties. Look closely at the date, at the D mint mark. Any sign of doubling or repunching could mean thousands more in value. If you believe you have something extraordinary, the next step is professional grading. Reputable services like PCGS or NGC encapsulate coins in tamper-proof holders and assign grades. That grade is the key that unlocks serious market value. Without it, you're just another person claiming to have a rare coin. With it, you're holding a verifiable asset that collectors will fight for. But here's where it gets thrilling. Once word gets out, the market can turn into a feeding frenzy. Collectors with deep pockets, investors looking for alternative assets, even everyday enthusiasts competing on auction sites. Bidding wars erupt, prices soar, and suddenly, a 1-cent coin becomes a life-changing windfall. Let me ask you this. How many pennies have you ignored in your lifetime? How many times have you bent down, seen a copper coin on the ground, and thought, not worth the effort? What if that single penny was the one that could have paid off your mortgage? Suddenly picking up a coin doesn't seem so silly anymore, does it? Of course, humor me for a moment. Because if you start scanning every penny like Sherlock Holmes, your friends might think you've lost your mind. But when you're holding a coin that could fetch 6 figures, who's really laughing? The story of the 1961 D penny is ultimately a story about possibility. It reminds us that treasure doesn't always lie buried in the ocean or locked in a vault. Sometimes it jingles in our pockets. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. And sometimes the most unassuming objects carry the greatest potential. But let's not sugarcoat it. The odds of finding $1 million penny are slim. Not impossible, but slim. And that's exactly what creates the excitement. If it were easy, no one would care. But the hunt, the idea that lightning could strike, that an overlooked coin could rewrite your financial future, that's what keeps people searching. It's the same thrill that drives gold prospectors, treasure hunters, and lottery players. Only in this case, the gold just happens to be copper. So here we are, at the climax of our journey. You now know the truth about the 1961 D Lincoln cent. Billions were made, but only a handful in pristine condition with rare errors hold the power to shock the market. Some have sold for thousands, others for hundreds of thousands. And yes, reports have reached as high as $977,000 for the right coin at the right time. That's not a fantasy. That's a documented reality. The question is, will you be the one to find it? Will you check your coin jars, your old piggy banks, the dusty rolls in your attic? Or will you let the possibility slip by, assuming pennies are worthless? Because here's the final twist. Every great fortune found in coins was discovered by someone who bothered to look. Someone who cared enough to take a second glance. Someone who believed that even a penny could hold a secret. And maybe, just maybe, the next great discovery won't be in a museum or at an auction. Maybe it's in your hand right now, waiting for you to recognize its value. So don't ignore the pennies. Don't underestimate them. Because one day, you might realize that the smallest coin in your pocket could unlock the biggest surprise of your life. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a handful of loose change, the same dull copper coins you've seen all your life, only to discover that one of them could be worth as much as a mansion in the suburbs. Or a luxury yacht. Now here's the kicker. People just like you have already found these hidden treasures, and in some cases, they've sold for nearly $1 million. That's right. A simple 1-cent coin, the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, has been reported to bring staggering sums on the open market. One specimen even reached a jaw-dropping $968,000 when it surfaced in pristine condition. So how on earth does a penny, a coin that most of us ignore, lose in the couch cushions or leave at the bottom of a jar, end up carrying the price tag of a luxury home? The story is as fascinating as it is urgent, because these coins are still out there, and someone, maybe even you, could be holding one without realizing it. To understand why this particular penny matters, let's step back for a moment. In 1994, millions of Lincoln cents rolled out of the U.S. Mint, stamped with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nothing unusual there. But among the tidal wave of coins produced, a few slipped through with a crucial anomaly. No mint mark. Normally, Lincoln cents from Philadelphia carried no mint mark by tradition, but in this case, the absence signaled something very different. It pointed to a rare variety, a misstep that turned an everyday coin into an elite collector's prize. The rarity is so extreme that only a tiny fraction of the 1994 production run qualifies, which is why collectors are willing to pay mind-bending sums for high-grade examples. Now, let's be clear. Most 1994 pennies you find in circulation will be worth exactly what they say, 1 cent. Some, in decent condition, might fetch a few dollars if they're shiny enough. But the no mint mark variety in top-notch condition? That's the one that has shocked auction houses and set collectors buzzing. When you think about the fact that one of these coins sold for nearly $1 million, it forces you to ask, could there be another one hiding in plain sight? Could one be sitting in your desk drawer, quietly waiting to change your life? Imagine the fear of tossing one into a Coinstar machine or handing it over as change for a coffee, never realizing you just let go of a fortune. That's the nightmare scenario. And here's the exciting flip side. The thrill of realizing that the coin you've overlooked for decades could be your ticket to financial freedom. It's like a modern treasure hunt, and the prize isn't buried in the ground. It's jingling in your pocket. You might wonder, why do collectors care so much? Why would anyone, no matter how wealthy, pay close to $1 million for a penny? The answer is rooted in rarity, condition, and history. Rare coins become objects of desire because they represent mistakes that were never meant to exist. They're artifacts of imperfection in a system designed for uniformity. And when such an artifact survives in immaculate condition, untouched, uncirculated, preserved as though time stood still, it becomes something more than a coin. It becomes a trophy. Wealthy collectors aren't just buying copper. They're buying a story, a legend they can hold in their hand, a symbol of status that few others in the world will ever own. And here's where things get even more dramatic. The price of rare pennies isn't static. It fluctuates with demand, with the whims of collectors, and with the sheer excitement that fuels bidding wars at major auctions. Today's $50,000 coin can become tomorrow's $500,000 headline. The market has proven this time and again, which is why experts emphasize the time to check your change is now, not later. Every year that passes, the number of pristine 1994 no-mint-mark pennies shrinks. Coins get lost, damaged, or degraded. Survival is the enemy, and scarcity only increases value. Think about it this way. In the same way baseball cards or classic cars skyrocket in value as they age and become harder to find, so too do rare coins. And unlike cars or collectibles that take up space in a garage, a coin can fit neatly in the palm of your hand. Portable wealth, pure and simple. But here's the suspenseful twist. Most people don't even know what to look for. They assume all pennies are the same, that a cent is just a cent. That ignorance is exactly what allows treasures to slip through unnoticed. So let's spell it out. If you're holding a 1994 penny, pay attention to two things: condition and detail. A coin that's been rattling around in change for years won't command the same price as one that looks crisp, sharp, and gleaming, as if it just left the mint yesterday. Collectors grade coins on a meticulous scale, from good all the way up to mint state 70, the holy grail of perfection. The higher the grade, the higher the value. That $968,000 sale wasn't for an ordinary beat-up penny. It was for one that experts considered nearly flawless. So ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your change? When was the last time you checked the date on a penny before tossing it aside? What if right now, your coin jar holds the very key to a windfall you've been waiting for your entire life? And here's where it gets even more thrilling. This isn't some distant legend or folklore about pirate treasure. This is real modern money. People have already cashed in. It has happened before, and it can happen again. That's why savvy collectors, hobbyists, and even casual treasure hunters scour rolls of coins from the bank, hoping to stumble on the next miracle find. And you don't need a metal detector or a secret map or years of expertise. You just need patience, curiosity, and the willingness to look closely. Now let's pause for a second. You might be thinking, sure, it's possible, but isn't this too good to be true? A fair question. But here's the proof. Rare pennies consistently make headlines at major coin auctions. Reports of six-figure and even seven-figure sales aren't fairy tales. They're documented market transactions, verified by experts and celebrated by the collecting community. The money is real, the buyers are real, and the opportunity is real. The only uncertainty is whether you'll recognize it when it's in your hands. Of course, there's a humorous side to all of this, too. Imagine trying to explain to your friends that you can't meet for lunch because you're busy polishing pennies. They'll laugh, until you show them the auction check with 6 zeros on it. Suddenly, you're not eccentric. You're brilliant, and maybe even rich. So let's bring this story to its climax. Right now, across America, countless 1994 pennies are sitting unnoticed in coffee cans, dresser drawers, and piggy banks. Every day, some of them vanish into circulation, their potential squandered, their chance at glory lost forever. But a few, a precious few, are destined to be discovered by someone alert, someone who knows what to look for, someone who refuses to dismiss the smallest coin in our currency as worthless. Could that person be you? Here's the ultimate takeaway. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is not just a coin. It's a reminder that fortune favors the curious. It's proof that wealth can hide in plain sight. It's the perfect symbol of opportunity disguised as ordinary. And if history has shown us anything, it's that those who act quickly, who pay attention, who dare to hope, those are the people who walk away with the rewards. So the next time you reach for a penny, don't roll your eyes and think it's just a cent. Instead, hold it up to the light, study it closely, and ask yourself the question that could change everything. Is this the one? Is this the penny that could rewrite my story? Because somewhere out there, in someone's pocket, in someone's piggy bank, in someone's coin jar, the next $1 million penny is waiting. And who knows? The next headline about a life-changing discovery could have your name on it. After all, why not you?